Hello and welcome. This is Sarah Bates, the design solution for entrepreneurs, and this is my live training. So tonight, the live training is all about the image and why that matters and what we can do to stop that scroll. And we know, don't we, that it's really, really important because you have 3 seconds, if that, to stop the scroll, to look, to be engaged. And as users, we need to be on the other side of that phone and think, oh, crikey, what's going on? And it's really important. So I'm going to dive straight into it. I know it was a bit later than usual planned tonight, another curveball set in my way, but power of the image. So we're going to crack on and have the best half hour. Please get your notebooks, get your pens, get ready to take some notes. And if you want the handout for the training that goes, the handout that goes with this live training, then please subscribe if you haven't done already to my newsletter by simply going over to my website, www.sarahbatesdesign.co.uk/subscribe. And it would be great to see you in there. And these handouts, these lives, these training is all for you. I put time and effort in because I want you to show up better. I want you to learn these design elements, these principles that I've known all my life, all my working life. And I want to help you take some of this on board so you can grow your business, you can connect with your audience. And that's what I am all about, is helping and supporting you guys. And please remember, if you've done any of the designs, if you've got any questions, hop into the Facebook group and use the hashtag #AskSarah, and I'll be there to help and support you. Okay, so I'm getting great. Nice to see you, Rachel. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into the slides. So just bear with me. And here we go. So the fundamentals using images and why it actually matters. Okay, we'll explore the why and how we use images, how we view them, what makes an image impact and stops the scroll. And basically, it's visual communication hot-wired. It's rich, instant, memorable storytelling. We can communicate so much more through an image, through video, than we can with words. So, you know, we know the broccoli is just an outstanding piece of vegetable, but what if it was in your post? Would that provoke interest? Would that stop the scroll? You may think that has nothing to do with my business at all, but actually it's a very strong vegetable. It's got very, very good elements to make you feel healthy. We are encouraged to have some of this every day, one of our 5 vegetables. If you look at the sunflowers, it's not angry, is it? It's calming, it's lovely. You can feel almost the sun on your face. And this guy is not looking happy, is he? So instantly, by looking at these images, we communicate messages instantly. We get them. And we've got to tap into what we can use as a business to engage and tap into our audience. So some of you may have kind of seen this before because I do bang on about it a lot. Is a picture worth 1,000 words? Now, some of you, without even thinking about it, will write blog posts like this. We'll write leaflets like this. We'll even do some articles just like this to give to your clients. And it's too long to read. The TLDR, too long to read. Would you read it? You know, you might have poured your heart and soul into this story or this blog post or this newsletter, but you've got to really be objective here. And you've got to really think, is anyone going to read it? Because I certainly wouldn't. It's all over the place for me. There's kind of too many gaps here, but there's no images. There's nothing that's going to give me an idea of what this is about as to whether I would read it. And we are all time precious. So do you know what? A picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you wanted to communicate instantly, Alice through the looking glass, Alice fall down a hole, you can use images that will hook, that will draw the viewer in to what you want to talk about. It's there to aid understanding, but more and more so now on social media, certainly with the immediacy of and volume of all this imagery and type that we get bombarded with every day. We've got to make quick choices. Are we interested? And the image linked with the heading is really important. We know just by looking at these images here, one's drawn and it's kind of magical, and the fact that the type is weaving in and out, it kind of adds interest, it draws us in, we want to know more. Some people that are old like me may have this reference, may have this reference, I'm going backwards, I need to stop touching my mouth, have this reference of Alice Through the Looking Glass, the Walt Disney film. That's kind of where we're going here. And there's a real live image of a rabbit here that's coming out of a hole. And then we're going to see the other people's perspective. This is down the hole looking out, isn't it? So we can communicate immediately, just with one blog post, different kinds of imagery that add interest. Now put one of those with that document that you've seen before, all those words, and it will certainly draw the viewer in much more than not having an image there in the first place. The science bit, so it's visual communication. It's visually having a message, receiving an image, receiving a message from that image. And that computes 60 times faster than the written word. Visual information gets to the brain 60 times faster. That's how we're just a whiz with our thumbs when we're scrolling down, because our brain is taking in those images. If the images is great, if it's interesting, if it jars a little bit, if it's not quite what we expect, we're more likely to stop the scroll. Modern day audiences need to get key information across as efficiently and as fast as possible. So that is the reason why we use imagery. Okay, and video even more so, because we can get over our personality. We can say things much quicker than we can actually person reading that information. Neuroscientist David Lewis described type and image as being hidden in plain sight. So this is interesting, isn't it? Wine buyers will purchase more expensive wine if classical music is playing. And these have been tested. This is just not me making this up. If a soundtrack to Jaws is in a swimming pool, no one would actually, if they've got that reference, no one would actually go swimming. They know it's safe. They know there's not Jaws in that pool. But because we've got this experience linked, and it's the same with imagery, we have a reference to it. We have maybe we have a very quick process of whether we're going to like this or not, and whether it goes with the company that we're looking at. Smell of freshly baked bread or roast chicken will have you heading to the bakery aisle or picking up ingredients for roast dinner subliminally, without conscience, without actually being really conscious about what's happening. And you have subliminal stimuli, and subconsciously kind of it gets in there and it works. Every time I go into a supermarket with hot cross buns smelling, I want to buy some, and that's kind of my guilty pleasure. But it's that experience, isn't it? And it's about environments and having influence on the buying, purchasing power. Type and images do the same on social. So when we think about imagery, we have actually got to start thinking outside the box. And we can use a massive amounts of imagery. We can use photos, infographics, memes, illustrations, and video. And these are just a few forms of content. We can like have animated little GIFs going on. There's loads and loads of things. And to use a range of visual assets can only grow with importance, because people will just get bored of watching all the videos. They want something different. People will get bored of just watching static pictures. So really, as a business owner in charge of your own social media and your marketing, you have really got to think about mixing it up a little bit and wanting to stand out, wanting to show up better. And one thing, though, however, is not acceptable, people really turn off really, really quickly, is the use of poor quality images. Like the pink image down here. This is a definite no-no. it looks like it's been nicked off the internet and just blown up. It's not the right quality. It just looks poor, like you have not taken care. It looks unprofessional. And you are automatically giving, by a very poor looking image, you're automatically sending a message that you don't really care. You don't really know about what you're doing. You don't know about the media that you're using. Whereas if you looked at one of the other two pictures, they are completely crisp. They are really, really nicely focused. This is a zoom in one, is the blue one with the paints kind of swirls, and this one is over the, but they look great, don't they? And we can clearly make out what it is, whether even if it is a zoomed in one. Here, not so sure. So low quality imagery is a real no-no. So please go back and look at your website, go back and look at your social media, go back and look at your email newsletters, and don't keep using low quality images. It's just a very negative experience for the user and doesn't do your brand any good whatsoever, because you're sending out the wrong messages. Try and take photographs yourself, or use a professional photographer to get some really nice bank of images, and do not pinch off the internet. I did a thing on kind of copyright. Please don't. They're other people's images, and you wouldn't like it if somebody nicked your image. So please, there's lots of image stock libraries out there that you can use, like Pixabay, Pexels, FreePix, and you can subscribe to them. I subscribe to I can't remember. There's iStock, Shutterstock, there's Adobe, and these all have good quality images that you can use, and you can search for them. And it's much better, if you have to use a stock image, to use one that's really, really good quality. Okay, but try to take your own. You might find that that is actually a lot better. It's received a lot better because there's the truth and an honesty in there. And when we look at photographs like this, people now want, through this pandemic, there is a need to see true images. And you know, you need good ones on your website, don't get me wrong at all, but on the social media, the daily, the everyday stuff, people are a lot more forgiving if it's cropped slightly differently, or it's not quite straight. They want to see a truth. They want to see someone kind of, you know, drinking a cup, not particularly looking, you know, like it's a very posed shot. Animals always go down really, really well. So even if you haven't got an animal of the office, try and get one, or try and use someone else's, because every now and again, if you put a post about your office dog or whatever it would be, it will get huge amounts of interest and engagement. And really, you know, I hate these photographs with abundance, because no one in their real life will ever sit around a boardroom and go high five at all. They're all attractive, they're all beautiful, they're all high-fiving, and that just really doesn't happen. And if it does, then good on you, well done. But most of us are not like that, and we want a truth and an honesty, certainly now, because that's what we value. And I think through all this pandemic, we've been through ever such a lot, that's kind of where we should be. So, you know, try and get images that people will believe in, that they're authentic. Okay, and sometimes I think more often than not they're open to interpretation. So this raises intrigue, and you know, we're interested, we're brought in if it's not quite so obvious what we're trying to say, because it's like, why is there a dog picture there when they're a solicitors or they're, you know, a financial advisor? What's going on? So please try and use images that are not generic, that are not necessarily stock. This was really interesting, and I just want you to bring this in here, because this was kind of brought about a couple of years ago, really, and some journalists took it on, some newspapers took it on, some social media took it on, and a lot didn't. Now, I use Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop forever, and I know there's no real truth in a photograph. Certainly they didn't used to be. And with retouching, with makeup, with hair, we can make the best images come to life. And actually, this was a campaign about heavy retouching of fashion photographs and of fashion photographs and celebrities. And it brought controversy and debate because there were lots of young people who can have mental health issues surrounding the perfect body image, the perfect face. And these models, there was a whole range of them. These models actually bared their souls. They showed, I mean, it's their business. They showed their face untouched, no makeup, just how they would be. And you can see from the left to the right how different that has made it. And it's, you know, it's no wonder that there is, you know, people are trying to get a truth in here of actually what real people really look like. So I just thought I'd put that in there. Supermodels without, it was great. You can kind of obviously just Google it and find out more. What I really advocate with images is actually for people to crop them. Never use the whole image, ever, because you've got different things going on. You've got lines kind of coming in. So if you look at this plate down here of food, okay, yes, it's a plate of food, right? And there's a bit of salad and some maybe dressing. But actually, if you crop in, you can still have that suggestion, but you may be on your graphic, you've got a lot more space for type or for your message. If you look at the guy up here, the crop on there has been slightly diagonal, and that's really nice. It brings interest. We don't need to see who's behind him or in a football field. There's a speech marks here, and we know that he's saying this. And then you've got some really nice close-up shots. Again, it adds interest. It's not a typical stock photograph. It looks more like you have perhaps taken it. And you get these really nice, almost like mood board style, where you can crop in completely into tiny little elements to get a suggestive idea. Coastal vibes, it's obviously talking about what you would do if you're going to the coast and what kind of you'd wear. And it just is great. And it's a great way to get lots of images in a small area. So please crop, think about your image, crop it. Does it add more interest? And it probably will do. Different types of imagery now, we've got an infographic. So infographics compute information visually that are really quite complex. So when I did this infographic for osteoarthritis, basically it was about different ways movement can be restricted. It was about what a person can suffer from. It's actually saying that, you know, there's thinner men and women and there's larger men and women, and how many more times is it likely out of 10 that you are going to get arthritis? The likelihood of it is. And then obviously keeping healthy and some stats there. Now that information can be computed really easily just with very simple graphics. And the same here about coffee. We're using imagery to cut, you know, obviously 1.9 to 6.5, there's a slight difference, but it's not mathematically defined. But all of a sudden it's inferring that, yes, you can visually see instantly that this is a lot bigger. And we've got memes. Now, these have obviously just kind of come out, haven't they, relatively recently. And memes reflect an element of culture or a system of behavior passed on from one individual to another. They're not necessarily about a particular brand. They can be topical. It's more about your personality as a business. And if you want to use them, fine. I personally don't, but I do find them, some of them, quite funny. And obviously, if people find them funny, they are much more likely to spread them around, aren't they, and share them rapidly around the internet. How many people got trampled on Black Friday this year, which is quite a horrific thing to see, but it's coming from a cat's perspective, and he's going, not enough. And there's obviously that cat maybe doesn't like people, as some cats don't, but it's not meant to be taken seriously. Obviously, there's a fine line, isn't there, as with everything. So this is a different way just to get images through. And then we've got illustration. Illustrations are typically playful. We know they are not real, don't they? They're not like a photograph we're making a judgment or a video. They're illustrated, they're drawn. And there's I suppose there's an idea where we can play with using our imagination, where we've got an Oreo, but what can an Oreo do? What can the lies be? Is it more exciting if we have an Oreo? You know, obviously pizza and lollies, Sunside, you know, the love go together. I'm not quite sure they do, but we've got elements where we're using photographs and then we're using illustrations on top. And I think this is a really good way to be playful. But it's not always right for everybody's brand, but this is a different way we can use imagery. And then we've got video. Video is here to stay. And one of the reasons is because, like we said earlier, we can compute information so much quicker through a video than we can actually using just static images or that long piece of written text. And again, there's issues with video because they're absolutely huge, but they tell the viewer so much more information in a short space of time. You can, and if emotion is engaged, if a person feels emotionally connected with that's joyful, angry, informative, wow, you surprised them, we are much more likely to engage and see that person and view that brand again and again. And that does instill this know, like, and trust mantra, which marketing, advocate completely. If you know someone, as in you keep seeing them, you begin, and if you like them, you'll see them more, and then you begin to trust what they're saying. And it's really fundamentally important. Now, I do most of my videos using my phone. I like it, the fact that I can put the teleporter app on. I can have a script there when I'm recording my courses. You don't need, by all means, go and get expensive kit, but you don't need it to start out. And it tells the viewer so much more. And there is, an increasing overwhelm in the number of videos people are watching these, just like, whoa, loads of people are generating it because we can compute information so much quicker. So you have really got to try, and I'm doing my specialist spotlights with my colleagues and clients because I want to get them onto video. I want to get them on a Zoom and feed live into Facebook and put them at ease. And that's a really good way to start getting on video with a question and answer with somebody you're actually talking to rather than you in front of screen. And once you start getting used to that, then maybe perhaps you can then develop and get in front of screen, just face on. So you don't have to have an up-to-date phone. You don't have to have the latest one. Obviously, it does help sometimes with the cameras, but you don't have to do. Ideally, use morning natural light or buy yourself an amazing ring light. I bought quite a cheap one and it served me well. But I've now got a more expensive one that can actually hold the phone up properly without it going like this. But that's up to you and your budget. It has really good light and it has different color settings. And I've got it on today. And if I didn't do, it would cast lots of shadows. And I want you to be focusing on the slides and what I'm saying rather than thinking, have I had any sleep? So remember about, if you are filming, film landscape, do not film portrait. And don't overcomplicate things, just practice. People are forgiving. I've done so many question and answers where I'm doing these spotlight videos and it's gone live and I haven't realized. But you practice, if you don't put it out there, and good is good enough. Good is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect because you'll never get it out there. So just try. You can even do it with me. I'll be up for it. So using video though can be tricky because it's a huge file size. So if you've done a video, you are never going to be able to email it unless you use something like Loom, where you can just have your little, or there's another one, Boomerang, I think it is, and you can have like little snippets that go to actually their browser, their website. I use things like YouTube or Vimeo to put say for my digital courses, I will put the videos up there and then that produces a link and then I will embed the link into my course structure. And that's the easiest way to do it because handling video, it can be huge. It can be quite zap all your memory on your Mac, certainly on your phone. So that's what I do. And obviously you can see from here on the website how it looks on a phone, how it looks on YouTube. There's different ways of doing it. And again, good is good enough, okay? So try and get it out there. Try, and you will always get better, okay? But try and plan what you're going to say. The worst things in the whole world is when you don't plan it. And that's fine for someone skateboarding and the fall off, but if it's for your business, you need to, you know, plan a little bit ahead what you're going to say, where's your shot, certainly sort your background out, sort your lighting out. And that just means trying things out. And if you haven't got any of that, do it in natural daylight. Okay. For most people, certainly when they were commuting in and out of work, they would watch the videos on mute. So subtitles, and obviously for Access for All, subtitles are required really. It's good practice. And mix it up. Check out your competition. You can go to see what people are doing for their ads, like I've done to the Entrepreneur Circle. So I went onto their Facebook, and you go into their business page, and you go to page transparency, and you can do this with anyone and just see what people are using. So if I looked on here, I saw one ad and I was intrigued as to how they'd mixed it up. And this is more or less for the same thing, but they are saying it slightly differently, and they're using different imagery just to test what works. Because maybe one day that broccoli might work, and maybe another day it won't. So keep showing up consistently and use different imagery, use different types, photographs, people, objects, maybe vegetables, maybe eggs, which I've said before in some previous training, illustrations, videographs. You can even do like little MP4s in Canva, where you can do multiple pages and send it out as an MP3, and it's a little video, or you can do the animated ones. Anything like that at all that adds interest is great. And we're nearly coming to the end of our training now. Now, if you just take a swipe and look at this guy here, you will automatically make a judgment. And this is where I find imagery really interesting, because as an artist, as a creative, I like to provoke. It's not always particularly very good if I provoke in the wrong way, but I do like to provoke, and sometimes provoking evokes feelings. If you looked at this guy and you just didn't analyze it, you probably think he was in a fight and it was about, you know, kind of prison or something. However, when you do look at it more closely, you can see the strap marks of the driving belt, safety belt that he's been wearing. And it's about belt up and live on, because he's obviously been through a huge car crash, and he's lived on because his belt has saved him. Okay, so visuals are memorable and effective because they help people process and understand and retain more information. You might remember that image much more than you maybe would do what it's about. But if you saw a similar image again and evoke the same message, it would trigger that you've seen this before and there's a connection there. And that's what you want to do with your customers. You don't want to keep changing colors. You don't want to keep changing fonts. You don't want to keep changing your logo. However, do keep changing your imagery, and perhaps use the same message but different images. But all the other stuff has to be the same to instill that know, like, and trust. And images evoke feelings. And remember, if it changes your mood in any way, if it leaves an impression, you're the much more likely to take action. And if you're creating stunning visuals and including videos and a range of imagery, you're doing it already. You just need to rock up consistently. So I want you guys to actually look at your website, look at your social media, and do a little bit of a review and think, are my images dull? Am I using different kinds of images? Am I mixing it up a little bit? And if you're not, then just try something different. And maybe just try it once or twice and just see what action the kind of reaction you get on different times. Testing is always a really good thing. So I've got a little challenge for you, and anyone who knows me will have seen these images all the time, because I picked them out years ago and I love them to bits. So I've always believed wherever there is a limitation and a constraint, innovation will occur. So wherever there's a limitation and a constraint, innovation will occur. And I've been teaching this for years. So what I'd like you to do, even tomorrow, even tonight to plan it, I'd like you to pick a bit of a random image. Now, obviously, I've got a snail going on. I've got a spiral staircase. I've got a bookcase. I've got some colouring pencils and some pencil sharpeners on graph paper. Now, can you use any of these images at all in a social media post to promote or talk about a product or service you have in your business? Now, if I was forcing you to do this, and this was a real task, then you'd come up with something. And that's where the limitation and the constraint occur. Because if we were in a classroom now, you and I asked you to do this task, you're all polite people, I'm sure you are, you would do it. And you'd have to think differently about how you can use one of these images, because what the images are doing is inferring messages, and it just needs you to tweak it a little bit with your copy as to what you're steering those people to think about it. You know, is the snail for a physiotherapist? Is he, you know, got a really bad neck strain? Is it a person that's taking the whole weight on the back and they're struggling a little bit? Is it a person who's achieving, who's going up those building blocks? So please, please, please try and use one of the, and if you want me to send you them, please email me and I will do. I'll make a comment in the box and I'll get it over to you. But please try and use a bit of a random image. I asked someone to use an egg a few weeks back on my other training, but please use some kind of random image and see if you can use it in your social media to link to a product or service, and just let me know what reaction you get. And you might shock people, might not get anything, but you just might get something. And please, 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 if you are using random images, then tag me in the post or drop it into the Facebook group and use that hashtag Ask Sarah, and I'll get in there and I'll make a comment, because I just think we need to just put things up that agitate a little bit, just mess it up a little bit, do something surprising, bring a smile to someone's face, or get them to stop the scroll, which is super important. So I hope this has been of value to you. And if it has, then please, please, please spread the news, get people to come into this private Facebook group, because every Tuesday I'm going to rock up and I'm going to do some live training. And then Thirsty Thursdays, I call it, is for learning. So I'm going to give you the freebie that links to this training every week. And you'll need to just sign up to the newsletter if you haven't already. And the easiest way to do that is www.sarahbatesdesign.co.uk/subscribe. You go to my website, you fill that in, and then it automatically gets onto my newsletter. And then when I send the stuff out on Thursday, you'll be able to get the freebie handout. And remember, if you want any feedback on design from your very own designer, me, then please use the hashtag Ask Sarah in the private Facebook group, Sarah Bates Design, that you're seeing this training in now, and I'll feed back to you. Because I basically think all businesses need to know about design to show up better for the everyday stuff. And I want to help you, and I'm on this mission. So please tell people about it, get them into this group so more people are watching the lives. And if you did want to know any more about design and the basics of Canva, then please, I've got a 1-hour online masterclass that you can find out more information. You can go have a look at it, find out about more design stuff, how to use Canva. And you might have been using Canva forever. You might have been using it for a year or so, but you might learn something new. And certainly from my point of view, being a designer, I can guarantee you probably would do. So please, if you want to know more, head over to the designschool.online, and it tells you all about Canva, the Canva essentials. And it's heavily discounted because I want as many people to start learning the basics of design so they can show up better. So thank you very, very much for spending time with me tonight. I know it was late. Next week it will be 8 o'clock again. And if you've had any value from this, please put some comments in the Facebook. I can't see it at the moment because I'm in the presentation mode, but please, 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 I would love to have some feedback because I want to know if it's of value. All right, take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.